Welcome to Push, the push your luck set collecting card game. All right. So, as I just said, Push is a press your luck card game, and we're going to learn how to play in this video. So, I have here all the components of the game. There's this deck here, as well as this die, and these are basically all the components of the game. So, the way this game works is that you are trying to score points. The points are going to be listed on cards, and at some point you're going to have the opportunity to get those cards into your scoring pile. Any cards in your scoring pile count for points based off of whatever number it says on those cards. And the die comes into play in a very particular way. So we'll see how that goes just by playing a turn. The way the game is structured is that one player takes a turn where they flip up cards to their heart's content until they're done flipping up cards or something causes them to stop. In which case we deal out the cards to different people depending on who wants what, and then it moves on to the next player where that player takes the deck and flips up cards to their heart's content until they're done flipping up cards. And then we continue this until the end game condition, which is the last card has been flipped up from the deck, and then you finish that particular scoring round, or scoring hand, rather, that turn. So let's go ahead and take an example, because this game is best learned by example. So what's going to happen is, let's say the first player, let's say that's me over here, I'm going to flip up a card, and I'm going to put it in one of three like little imaginary piles. You can imagine a pile here, and a pile here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip up another card, and at any point you can choose, I want to either stop or keep going. But for the sake of example, I'm going to keep going. So you flip up a card. Any piles cannot contain the two or more of the same number or color. So because this one is purple, in addition to this one, which is also purple, you would have to put it into another pile. Now, it doesn't matter which pile is which. There's no difference between pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. So, you can put this in pile 2 or pile 3. It doesn't really matter. Okay. So let's say I picked up another card. So this is a 5, so I could, if I wanted to, put it in this pile, put it in this pile, or put it in this pile. I think I'm going to put it in this pile for strategic reasons. So let's say I pick up another card. This is a 3. It's a green 3. So I cannot put it here because there's already a green card here, and I cannot put it here because there's already a 3 here. So I have to put this into a third pile. Now is whenever it starts to get risky, because if at any point I can't place a card, I must put that card into the center, and then I do not get the opportunity to score, and we'll talk about how that works in just a moment. But let's say I said, okay, I actually want to stop. So here's how that works. The current player decides which card or which pile they would like to keep. So this one has the most points, so I'm going to go ahead and keep this one and put in my score pile here. Then it moves on to the next player to decide, in clockwise order, to decide whether or not they want to keep this card, or keep this pile, or keep this pile. So they're going to keep this one, and then this person's going to keep this pile. Then, let's say, so then it would move on to this player's turn to start flipping up for piles. So this is the player's score pile, which is not to be confused with the imaginary piles that you have in front of you whenever you're flipping up cards. So let's say this player flipped up this card. This is a purple 2, so I'll put it in front of them in pile 1. This is a blue 2, so they have to put it into a new pile here. And then this is a blue 4, so they could put that in this pile. And then they get a blue 2, which they must put in this pile. Let's flip up one more card. So this is a very special card, and we'll take the opportunity to talk about it right now. So this is a card that you want to flip up yourself in most cases, and you don't want other players. You don't want other players in the game to have flipped it up on their turn. You want to be the one to flip up this card because it's bad for other players. So what's going to happen is this card is going to be put into any pile. You can safely put this card in any pile that you want, even piles containing other copies of this type of card. So let's say I put this right here. And then let's say this player ended their turn. Okay? So what's going to happen is they're going to score the pile that most likely is worth the most points. So they'll take this one, put it in their score piles. Then the next player will take this one. And this player gets stuck, the third player, or let's say my spot, gets stuck with this card. So the way this card works is you take it into your score pile for a moment, you discard it, and then as you're discarding it, you roll the die. So you see this die in the center, this is where the die comes into play. So you can see this is my score pile here. I have a purple 6, a green 5, and a blue 2. So let's go ahead and roll it up. I got is that a purple? Yeah, I got a purple, which is the X, which as you can see, it's the same background as the X here. So that means that this player, or in this case, my seat, would lose all of their purple cards, and they would have to discard all of them to the discard pile. Okay? So let's go ahead and do one more example with this player over here. So this player is going to start flipping up some cards. So they get a blue 4, they get a red 3. Let's say they didn't want to use very much strategy, and they just put that right there. And then they get okay, let's put that right there. Let's put, they can't put the blue 2 right there, so let's put the blue 2 right there. Okay, so this pile is just going to be really bad for whoever gets it. And then let's say they put a blue 5 here. And then let's say they get a reverse. So the way this works is this is a reverse. So that means that for this particular pickup of cards, the order in which people take the cards is actually reversed. So instead of handing the next pile or option of pile to the person clockwise, it would instead go counterclockwise. Okay, so let's keep going. Okay, so we'll put that in this pile, and then a green 6, so let's put that there. And let's say they get really risky and they just want to keep going. So yellow 6, so they put that there, and then a yellow 4, they put that there. You can see it's starting to get really dangerous here, so they're going to keep going. They get a red 4. They can't put a red 4 down. So because they can't put a red 4 down, here's what happens. Because they can't put a red 4 here because there's a 4 here already. They can't put a red 4 here because there's a red here already. And they can't put a red 4 here because there's a 4 here already. So what they do is they discard this 4. And then what happens is they do not get a pile. Okay? And in addition to not getting a pile, they also have to roll the die one time. So they get orange, so they're safe because they don't have any orange in their scoring pile, or yellow, I suppose. By the way, the colors are a little bit confusing. This orange-ish color is the same as this yellowish color, so that's the same color, according to this game's rules. So naturally, the player to the, in this case, counterclockwise, would take the pile that's worth the most points. So I would take this one, and this player would take the one that's worth the next amount of points. And if there's ever a situation where a player who is not supposed to get a pile, or rather like the player whose turn it is supposed to get a pile, but they are not awarded a pile in this round, they would just discard the remaining pile, which is actually good for that player because then they would have had to roll the die a whole bunch of times and risk losing basically all their cards. So for every single one of these cards they would have, if they had to pick up a pile, which in this case they don't, they would have had to roll 1 die, 2 die, 3 die. In their case, they will have lost all their purples and all of their yellow, orange, whatever you want to call it. It is worth noting that there are 5 colors in the game. There's red, there's green, there's purple, there's blue, and I think yellow. Did I say yellow already? Green. There's 5 colors in the game. I might have missed one of them. But there's also this star space with a black background. If you ever roll this, whenever you're rolling for any reason you have to roll, that just means that all your cards are safe. There's one more rule to this game that you should know. Let's say it comes to your turn, and you decide, okay, I actually am really worried about losing one of my scoring piles. So let's say this player was really worried about losing their blue scoring pile. What they can do is they can decide, I wish to spend my entire turn to just make this blue scoring pile safe. So you can pick any one color of scoring pile that you already have to set aside, and you just are guaranteed to get those points at the end of the game. Once the deck runs out, you finish up that turn, doing any scoring that you need to do, and then whoever has the largest sum of their numbers in their scoring pile whether they're set aside or they're just in the regular scoring pile. They both count to the same. Um, Whoever has the most points wins. So I believe in this case the person over there would most likely win because it looks like they got a lot of numbers there. Well, let's count it up. So we got 11. We got 6 more is 17. This person has 11. 4 more is 15. 2 more is 17, and 3 more is 20. So yes, that player would be victorious. I mean, obviously, this is assuming that we go through the entire deck and nobody else wins any of these cards. But yep, so that is how scoring works, and that is the game of Push. I really like the game of Push. It's a lot of fun. Um, I think I like Flip 7 a little bit more, but this is still a pretty good push your luck card game. It also has a bit of a different vibe to it, right? It's less of like the gambling in the casino style, get more cards, and more of just kind of like um, good goofy pick up cards, and you might lose out on all the cards that you have. You could the core difference between the two is that Flip 7 is about winning it big, and Push is about losing it big. So you don't want to be the player that loses it big. Um, so, I hope this was helpful. Hope this was informative. Hope you liked watching, and I hope you pick up a copy of Push. And thank you all for watching, and have a great day. Bye.